Robinson, Nadia Essex, Richard Shaw, and Charlie Lawson. Charlie, I'm angry today. You can probably tell. Because I am so sick of these weasel words, Charlie. I am so sick of Sadiq Khan talking about diversity. I am so sick of the police blaming mental health. I just feel so angry, Charlie. I really do.
Yeah, I don't blame you, son. You speak for the, I would say, less quiet majority of people in this country. The trouble is, as you well know, if you open your gob and say anything, you're going to get into trouble. I know. Just to digress slightly, I was thinking and speaking to a couple of Jewish actors I know who, incidentally, would not wish me to disclose their names, and they are finding life very uncomfortable, even in the so-called liberal world of being a thespian, if you like. But the short answer is, I speak to people in the boozer and many boozers all around the country, and you'll know that, and I know what the feelings are, and that people are just uncomfortable about saying it. You, however, say it, Dan. I'm just as pissed off and angry as you are, mate. And as I say, as I will leave a message with another one of my colleagues down in London, just to ask how she is. I know what the response will be, but there you go. I mean, if Sadiq Khan isn't going to get voted out because he knows exactly which votes he's going to get. So anyway, but as you say, that place in Crewe, I heard about because I'm just up the road in Prestbury. We heard about that place, and there were several people I spoke to were aware of what was going on there, and unfortunately, that's just the way the society we
but
are.
We allowed this Islamist sect to come. Yeah, I mean,
I know, but it's like. Well, look, I can't comment because even your YouTube channel or your show, Dan, you'll have me thrown off because if I said to you exactly how I felt, I'd be in front of a court.
No, this is the problem. This is the problem.
Father, you'd be very offended, son.
No, I know. I need to hold it together today. Absolutely, you are completely right. Father Calvin Robinson. I mean, look, at least Tom Harwood asked the question on GB News, but the fact that he felt he had to preface it by saying, "This is controversial, I know." It's like, no, there have been Islamist terror attacks on our streets since 2005. When the police say, oh, history of mental health problems, maybe the mental health problems are deciding to follow this Islamist ideology.
Well, indeed. What does mental health mean these days? It's an excuse for every single terrorist incident, unfortunately. The vast majority, if not all, of the major terror incidents in our country post-IRA have been by Mohammedans. Islam is a toxic ideology that has no place in Christendom. It is contradictory to our values, to our way of life. We should not have Islam in our country. But we've been too open about it. Diversity, equity, and inclusion means that every idea is equal and every faith is equal. And it's wrong. And we're seeing sectarianism from the Middle East come to our country. Jews versus Mohammedans is never something that happened in Britain, ever in the history of our nation until very, very recently. And now it's rife. The same with Hindus versus Mohammedans. We had them fighting each other with swords in the street only 2 years ago. It's insane that we've imported people that hate each other and they hate our way of life. They want to dominate, and so they're going to battle each other to see who wins it out. What we should say is this is a Christian country. You can come to our country if we're going to have any immigration. You can come to our country if you take on board our values, our way of life. We do not want violence in our streets. We do not want your toxic ideologies. And that's the line we should take. Unfortunately, we just heard a clip that you showed of Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the opposition, saying things like, we have freedom of speech, we have freedom of religion in this country. No, we don't. Under the last Conservative government, there were 250,000 arrests for non-crime hate incidents. There are about 150,000 arrests every year for hate speech, and most of those were for offending Islamists or Mohammedans. So we don't have freedom of religion, we don't have freedom of worship, we don't have freedom of speech in this country. Some toxic foreign ideologies have preferential treatment under our legal system, and then we wonder why they get violent and kick off because they think they can do what they like. Because they can.
Breaking right now, we have just received a statement from the King on today's terror attack. A Buckingham Palace spokesman has said His Majesty, who is of course in the US, is being kept fully informed and is naturally deeply concerned, in particular about the impact for the Jewish community. His thoughts and prayers are with the two individuals who were injured and offers his heartfelt gratitude to those who so selflessly rushed to their aid. So Nadia Essex, great to have you on Outspoken for the first time. Sorry that it is in such terrible and horrible circumstances today. But this is now going to overshadow the King's state visit in some ways, because Americans look at what's going on here and just think, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, do you think so? Or do you think it's just like another Tuesday or another Wednesday? Because that's what, unfortunately, it feels like. It's become such a consistent thing that's happening, and also something that I worry about. I've had to take some time off of X, because when I spend time on X and I the algorithm puts all these things in front of me, I'm like, what? How can I bring up my child in this country? I don't can, because I don't feel safe. You can be standing at a bus stop and get stabbed. You can be walking your dog and get killed. Just normal things. You can be in a cafe, and I saw one guy come in. He was just eating his breakfast in a cafe, and someone came in and stabbed him. This is what we have to deal with. And for me, I'm sort of that close to just packing up and being like, it's over. I hope and pray that Britain can be great again. I just don't see how. I feel like the scales tipped too far. This is just another thoughts and prayers, another attack, and it's become so regular that you can't even let it penetrate, because if you go to bed crying every night if you did.
I know, but that is just so heartbreaking that you would say, but I get it, that you would say, I don't want to raise my kid in this type of environment. And look at those statistics. 5 million Brits are just packing it in over the next 8 years. I think it will be higher, actually, if this type of madness goes on. And Richard Shaw, also great to have you on Outspoken for the first time. This is where we come to the political solution, right? And you are now a proud representative of Restore Britain, Rupert Lowe's new party. This is quite a new thing, Richard. And I think increasingly, a lot of native Brits are thinking, we need a tougher political solution here. You clearly think Restore Britain is it.
Yeah, I think so. I think the way this country has gone over the past few years, it's not going to be solved by doing the same thing over and over again. We've seen Labour mess this country up. We've seen the Conservatives mess this country up for 14 years. You would have thought if the Conservatives were on our side, that when they got in and took over from Labour, that they would reverse some of the damage that they did, but they exacerbated it. They sped it up. And now we've got reform that was supposed to be the great hope, this change that was going to come. And you see it every day. Farage flip-flopping and backtracking, going soft. And then when he's standing candidates, he's bringing in people that are not even born in this country. He's not trying to put British people forward to find a solution to fix Britain. He's trying to put in place a bunch of people who he believes will be loyal to him, who he can control. And it's the same sort of politics we've seen over and over again. And I am convinced. I stood for reform in 2024 in the election. And from what I've seen on the inside from people I've spoken to, I'm convinced Farage is nothing more than a puppet on a string.
Really?
I don't think he's the solution.
Really interesting. Andrew Bridgen was there the other day, former Conservative MP. He's known Farage for years. He said he thinks that Farage has now been compromised in some ways, that some folk have material on him and he has been compromised. The Ukrainian firebombing trial of Slippery